In this episode of Fictional Hangover, we talk about the powers of bureaucracy, incesturbation, the big binder of instructions, TM, butchering Belgian, and vampires come from where? In our discussion of The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. Hey everybody, welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult, and sometimes other, books, series, authors, voice actors, and illustrators that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire, and today we're going to discuss The Rook by Daniel O'Malley.
Standard disclaimer. If you haven't read this book, please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read or listened and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read or listen to the book. Then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just like the show so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up. Also, this one came out a little while ago.
Oh, ages ago.
Yeah.
Ages ago.
Yeah.
There's bits that very much dated.
Yes.
Snapshots in time.
Oh, indeed.
I haven't read this since it first came out, and I mean, jumping ahead, I did. It's been a while, and I still enjoyed it. But there you go. Background information before I give away everything.
Background information is from Daniel O'Malley's website and blog before he was on a TV interview. And this doesn't really have anything to do with anything. I just really liked it. And it gives you a taste of what you can look forward to in the book. I am a decidedly unglamorous writer. There's not an elegant chamber that I retire to, no artistically cluttered desk that I sit at. I generally write on the couch, with my feet on the coffee table. If I'm feeling particularly self-indulgent, there may be a cup of coffee nearby. There also may be an action DVD playing on the TV. This is not the young artiste in his writing salon. This isn't even the young artist in a garret. This is dude on the sofa, pausing in mid-sentence because it's the part of Willow where Mad Mortigan does some sword stuff.
Oh my god, Daniel O'Malley is all of us.
Right?
We're all Daniel O'Malley.
Right? It's kind of perfect.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
What are your initial thoughts?
I forgot a lot that was in this book. Remembered more than I was surprised. I was surprised how much I remembered it. I haven't read this since it came out. Way back when. I can't remember when that was. But I still enjoy it. It's not perfect. I have criticisms. I had criticisms when I first read it. Mm-hmm. But I still enjoy it.
Yes. This is my first time reading it, and I did enjoy it. It's a great book, but it is 45 years too long.
Oh, hell yeah. I freely admit it needs some heavy editing.
It is,
and the audio actually is longer than the book, it feels like. It didn't take me that long to read the ebook, but when I first got it. But this is the first time I've listened to the audiobook. And
yeah.
It's just so freaking long. No. We'll get to that.
We will.
We'll get to that.
All right. You ready to dive in?
Do it.
Dear you, the body you're wearing used to be mine, a letter opens. It goes on to say the body is called Miffany, which is it's not how you actually say that name, and it is mispronounced, and they even call attention to it in the book, but it is Miffany, spelled Myfanwy, but it's Miffany. Miffany Alice Thomas. She is deathly allergic to bees, has no dietary restrictions, no head for alcohol, and is in pretty good shape. There's a wallet in her pocket with all the vital ID cards for survival in the name of Miffany, except 3 in the name of Anne Ryan, and a PIN code 230500. The letter suggests she withdraw some money, check into a hotel, and open the second letter. This letter is signed, "Sincerely, me."
It's raining hard and there are bodies surrounding New Miffany, each of them wearing rubber gloves. New Miffany follows the letter's instructions, withdraws money, catches a cab and finds a hotel. When she's alone, New Miffany looks in the mirror to finally see her face. She's very nondescriptive, with brown hair, brown eyes, is short, scrawny and covered in bruises. Tired beyond belief, New Miffany goes to sleep and dreams. Possibly they are her memories before the amnesia, possibly the body's memories, or possibly they are really happening. An older lady in Victorian dress is in her dreams, seems to know New Miffany and be begrudgingly indebted to her. Then she realises New Miffany is not old Miffany and calls her a Rook with no memory, tells her she will keep the secret and kicks her out of the maybe not a dream. When New Miffany wakes up, she orders breakfast, fresh clothes and settles in to read a letter too.
The letter explains that old Miffany finds the whole situation alarming. She had a nice, orderly, comfortable life, if a trifle unorthodox. A psychic told her something would happen, but no specifics, so old Miffany had tried to piece things together. Old Miffany gives New Miffany a choice to make at the bank, opening one of two lockboxes. Option 1 will allow her to live a new life. Old Miffany has enough saved for her to be comfortable. And option 2 will allow her to take over her life and become Miffany Thomas. Whatever New Miffany chooses, she must remember that people wearing latex gloves will be after her. New Miffany chooses option 1.
At least she does until she gets to the bank where the safety deposit boxes are being held and is attacked by latex glove-wearing goons. They begin to fight and as a goon approaches her with a syringe, New Miffany feels pain as her arm is being pulled by another goon. She closes her eyes as the pain explodes and screams, and when she opens them, 4 goons are lying on the floor, twitching uncomfortably. What the hell just happened? Stepping over them, New Miffany finds the actual non-gloved bank receptionist unconscious, gathers the safety deposit box keys and opens the box for option 2, allowing her to take over old Miffany's life. There are 2 suitcases inside. One has a number of objects wrapped in bubble wrap. The second is filled with numbered letters. New Miffany leaves the bank, now fully Miffany Thomas.
In the taxi, Miffany opens the second letter in which old Miffany gives her the address to an apartment. Though the apartment shows no sign of its occupant's personality and clearly hasn't been lived in, it's comfortable and fully furnished. Old Miffany has seen to it that Miffany has the essentials. Settling on the very cozy sofa, Miffany takes out letter 3, substantially thicker than the previous 2, and starts to read.
Old Miffany explains she has the power to control a person's nervous system. Cool.
So cool.
It developed when she was 9 and she experienced extreme pain after falling from a tree and a branch jabbed into her leg. Less cool. Some days later, after an eventful time at the hospital, Miffany has taken to see Lady Farrier, a woman with a striking resemblance to the Dream Lady and Sir Wattleman. Turns out that due to her power she legally belongs to the Sheke group. Old Miffany's father didn't really protest his daughter being commandeered by a secret arm of the government. I mean, really?
Within the Sheke group, old Miffany rose to the illustrious court, a position that can only be held by someone with special powers, though old Miffany's ascension was not really based on her special powers of exploding people's nervous systems, as one would assume, as much as it was her being meticulously detail-oriented, organized, and damn good at bureaucracy. Which would you prefer? The Sheke group goes back to Oliver Cromwell and his Lord Protector days and are a tool of the nation. No one ever leaves. Though old Miffany would have enabled Miffany to do so using her powers of bureaucracy, it's probably better that she stayed. On another chipper note, it's very likely that a member of the Sheke, even as high up as the court, is a traitor who betrayed old Miffany and got them into this pickle.
On Monday morning, Miffany heads to the Sheke Rookery office. the base responsible for domestic operations. According to the big binder of instructions left for her by old Miffany, she will be picked up by a chauffeur service and therefore will need to get to her old Miffany's official residence. It's very confusing. This residence is fancy and huge, but she has no time to look inside as she's whisked away to the rookery. Outside, people are protesting government conspiracies, but are sketchy on the details, and inside is a warren of corridors to Miffany's office. Miffany notices on her way up people are extremely deferential to her. They bow, they curtsy, and they stutter in her presence. Ingrid, Miffany's personal assistant, runs through her very busy day, which includes a visit from Frau Blumen, or Sheffield chief instructrix of the estate, a buxom and effervescent lady who cares for Miffany and enjoys a spot of gossip, and Rook Gestalt, her unique counterpart. Miffany's big binder of instructions says Rook Gestalt was born as 3 boys and 1 girl, 2 of which are identical twins. They are 1 person in 4 bodies, which can operate independently or together in any combination. They are deadly, perceptive, efficient, and dangerous. And when graduating from estate into the field, they completed a series of impossible tasks, including taking out a 488-year-old vampire. In 1980, it took 4 or 5 agents to take out a 64-year-old vampire. So, they kick butt. If Gestalt is the traitor who wants Miffany dead, well, frankly, she's in deep shit.
Yeah, yikes.
Also, how creepy. 4 bodies for 1 person.
Yeah, Gestalt is unnerving.
Creepy.
The twins come in. Robert is in their office, and Eliza is leading a team against an antler cult in Aberdeen. While Miffany is desperately trying to be old Miffany, the twins suddenly stop and stare off into space. Eliza's team are about to go into the cult's headquarters and offer to give Miffany a blow-by-blow. For the next 45 minutes, Miffany listens to their commentary, and when they're done, the twins are exhausted, so they call a halt to the meeting. Phew. A few moments later, Ingrid comes in. Miffany and Gestalt have been summoned to witness an interrogation. Thank goodness! Ingrid can show her the way, because she has no idea where she is or what is going on.
No. Old Miffany should have really included maps.
She really should have.
Miffany settles into the interrogation observation room, noting a paper bag on her seat that Gestalt is happy to remind her is for her weak female constitution.
Nah.
Dude,
Nah.
One of your bodies is female.
Nah.
What an asshole. The heads of department are also there, male, condescending and boorish. Unconventionally, Miffany asks Ingrid to stay with her. The interrogation starts and Dr. Crisp, who is examining the body, is giving facts about his history, lifestyle, etc., almost like he's reading the person like a fortune teller, except accurate and specific. After a heated exchange between Dr. Crisp and Perry, a particularly annoying head of department, Miffany tells everyone to please shut up and get on with the job at hand. Dr. Crisp continues the interrogation, except this time it's invasive. He doesn't cut the subject open, but uses his powers to make the man feel pain. His teeth literally rattling in his skull, and we all instantly think of Amanda. Miffany can feel the waves of pain and power which are what caused old Miffany's nausea. She also finds out that her own powers are potent and that she can switch off the interrogation subject's pain receptors. Dr. Crisp goes harder until he pushes over Miffany's wall, but unfortunately this causes the man to die with smoke coming off him. Womp womp. This needs to be looked into. The menfolk in the room are shocked by Miffany's assertiveness in stopping Gestalt strangling Dr. Crisp and calling for action to find out what exactly happened and what the man said as he died. The whole situation pisses Miffany off, and she has a good old rant to Ingrid in the elevator as they head back to her office. As she is enjoying a Toblerone, waiting for Ingrid to come in for her tea and a chat about what went on, Gestalt arrives. Oh, goody.
Yay. The Gestalt twins enter Miffany's office. They intercepted a runner on the way carrying a note with the interrogation subject's dying screams deciphered on it. I scout for the invasion. We will kill you all.
Ooh, cheerful.
Shit. They both agree the court must be informed and send Ingrid to set up an emergency meeting for sundown that evening. Gestalt also apologizes for trying to strangle Dr. Crisp, blaming the interrogation subject's mention of the grafters as being the trigger, which we all know about them, don't we? Man, darn those grafters!
Oh, damn them!
Wait.
Oh.
Wait. No, we don't know about them at all. But there's a big binder of instructions to look at, which I feel like should be a big binder of instructions in capital letters with like a TM.
Yes, I agree.
So Miffany takes big binder of instructions TM to the garish, pimped-out bachelor pad old Miffany suffered as leftovers from the previous Rook to find out about the grafters and have a nap.
The nap is important.
I like it.
Meanwhile, members of the court are alerted about the emergency meeting. Lady Farrier is told there still plans to have dinner with Rook Thomas after a nap and voyage through dreams in America. Chevalier Hectic Gubbins, fabulous name, Harry to his friends, is interrupted abusing his computer by his secretary to inform him of the meeting. Conrad Grantchester is disabusing a minister's notion to visit Australia with a graphic PowerPoint presentation which leaves the official crying, vomiting and mentally scarred. Joshua Eckhart is informed while on the way to a potential torture chamber or kink dungeon, it could go either way, where a member of the royal family with, it sounds like multiple heads seems to be. Sir Wattleman uses the phone call summoning for the meeting as an excuse to leave the dull gentleman's club early. No, he insists he better leave now and not in 3 hours when the summon actually demands.
Turns out, the grafters are a group of alchemists from the 15th century who never found out how to turn lead into gold. But they did find a way to manipulate flesh. They could mold and reform raw materials of people, liquefying and resculpting them, attaching new limbs and creating new creatures. It was a couple of centuries before the Shaké began to be worried when a note from an operative came back telling of a giant killing machine. There was a war with the grafters, and eventually it seemed they disappeared, though there were some reports of people working with corpses during the Great War, but all became quiet, and they turned into the boogeymen of the Shaké history.
Well, disturbing history aside, it's time for Miffany to get dressed for her dinner with Lady Farrier after meeting with the Rookery head of security, Clovis, where Miffany raises concerns over the protesters outside. Clovis isn't worried. If anything, it helps disguise the Rookery, as protesters are often ignored, even when they're talking sense. On another security matter, someone has been Googling Miffany Thomas, and that concerns him. Anyway, it's time for dinner.
Dinner with Lady Farrier isn't like a gathering of two friends. It is distinctly uncomfortable. But at least Lady Farrier knows Miffany is not old Miffany. She's just the new resident, and she's very impressed that Miffany has so neatly and quickly stepped into old Miffany's shoes. Miffany is pleased to find out Lady Farrier's high opinion of old Miffany's administrative capabilities, but learns she's hugely disappointed in her choosing not to use her unique and strong power. After dinner, they ride separately to the emergency meeting of the court.
The meeting is at Apex House, the building where Lord and Lady of the Shaké are based, as well as the bishops. Ulrich, who has recently walked in and is the epitome of dark, handsome and brooding, with a supernatural presence about him. And Conrad Grantchester from earlier with his, threatening PowerPoint. I really want to see this PowerPoint. Chevaliers Eckhart and Gubbins, who are responsible for foreign operations, are based at the annex. The court filters in, and thankfully Miffany is able to identify who is who of the other members before any accidental slips. Old Miffany could have provided pictures and maps. We said this already. Maps.
Seriously.
Maps. If you're going to vacate your body, provide maps.
Yes.
Mifflin and Gestalt bring the rest of the court up to speed about the grafter invasion as they watch a recording of the prisoner's capture, which, it's not pleasant, with his abilities to manipulate his flesh. Everyone's first concern is how the domestic and not the foreign operations of the Shekir found out about this. Secondly, there are a lot of higher-ups who need to be informed, as unpleasant as it may be to talk to them. Mifflin suggests using sniffer dogs at airports since reports show the grafters smell different, so Sir Wattleman agrees to plant the suggestion with the Home Secretary about new screening procedures for travellers. With that, it's decided the Rooks and the Chevs will work together and present conclusions over the invasion threat.
The next day at the Rookery, Mifflin meets with Dr. Crisp, who reveals that the prisoner effectively killed himself, or at least the augmentations to his body sent that signal. His whole body seemed to be wired up and acting like a giant mobile phone. The pain he was undergoing wasn't from the interrogation, it was the additions made to his body moving about, and when it got to be too much, a kill signal was activated. Mifflin relays this to Gestalt, Eckhart, and Gubbins, then later the bishops. For the moment, investigations will continue. There does not seem to be an immediate threat of invasion by the Belgians. The Americans, however...
Dum dum dum! Back at the Rookery, Ingrid takes great delight in flustering Mifflin by telling her the American counterparts from the Croatoan will be arriving in 45 minutes. That's enough time to consult the big binder of instructions, TM, and change it to something more business appropriate from the residents. Mifflin and Bishop Chantier Petrovsky get on very well. Chantier informs Mifflin that her report on the grafters came at just the right time, as a grafter operative was caught soon after entering their country. She was detained after killing several people and is currently being held in Nevada for interrogation. She's not talking though. They go to lunch, have a pleasant time, and on the way back, someone familiar looking approaches Mifflin. She says her name is Bronwyn Thomas, Mifflin's sister.
A sister suddenly turning up now is super sus. So Mifflin and Shantae get to researching, and everything actually kind of seems to point to Bronwyn being genuine. Mifflin arranges for Bronwyn to come to her residence that evening. When Bronwyn arrives, they are both full of questions. Mifflin makes up some exceptionally convoluted story about being ill as a child and at death's door and taken away, but then getting better, only to come away with a nasty drug habit. Then, luckily, securing a lucrative job that can afford a nice big house in London. Bronwyn randomly Googled Mifflin, which answers the question from earlier, and after checking the births, deaths, and marriages register and checking with their now dead parents' records, she was able to track down Mifflin to this house. She saw her one evening getting out of a car, and it's not creepy or stalkerish at all. They chat a bit longer, and Mifflin shows Bronwyn to a guest bedroom before going back to the living room to put the hidden gun away.
Ooh, I like the fact she took safety precautions, though.
Yeah, she's
sensible.
Smart.
She is. A letter from old Mifflin talks about her following the Shekir financial statements and finding a second estate hidden in Wales. She went for a jaunt to see it one weekend and managed to sneak in. Old Mifflin found records that there was no court oversight of this estate, Camp Caius, even though it has been around for 20 years. It looks like all their money was going into training fees and surgical facilities. Students, of which only something like 15 have been produced through, many have died there, don't leave until they are 23 before moving to some place called Albion. Before leaving, all Mifflin photocopy the information.
The next morning, Mifflin has breakfast with Bronwyn before heading to the Rookery where Shantae is waiting. Mifflin and Shantae head to the pimp pad to catch up about the sister situation and look through reports. Mifflin confirms she used her powers on Bronwyn and found no augmentation or surgeries to suggest her sister is anyone other than who she says she is, and she believes her. Ingrid interrupts. There's a major situation in Bath. A house is having a rave and eating people, including members of the public, police, and the Sheke. They want to send in the elite Barguests warriors, but need a Rook on site. and Gestalt is busy. Miffany and Shantae head to Bath.
Pawn Poppet, which is delightful to say, brings Miffany up to speed following standard operating procedure. There is a purple fleshy fungi-like substance in the house. People are going in, but are not coming out, and they're being liquefied, and the big fleshy bits keep bulging from the inside. Tasty. Miffany orders the bar guests to proceed. They have body cameras, so Miffany, Shantae, Pawn Poppet, and the operating nerds can watch. There are horrible chanting over the camera, which is sent to the Rookery for analysis. By the time the analysis is complete, the bar guests team have cleared the ground floor, and as they are proceeding upstairs, where the chanting is coming from, they are whipped inside and the camera feed cuts off. Vital signs show the team is still alive but unconscious. The chant is saying, "Send in the Rook, send in the Rook," because of course it is.
Of course it is. To everyone's surprise, Miffany gears up, as does Shantae, because the Croatoan's dossier on Rook Thomas is probably as big as the one that the Sheke have on her. So she knows that Miffany is not a field operative. Inside the house, Miffany tries to read the funky fungus, and for about 20 minutes seems to just completely phase out digging around in it. It seems to be layers of something? They continue upstairs and find in each room people of all ages, kneeling, chanting in a trance, and covered in the fungus. Eventually, they find Pawn Goblet, Pawn Poppet's superior, who had called in sick, being all weird with a group of chanters. He's talking to the Rook, but he thinks it's Rook Gestalt, not Rook Thomas. This is important.
Oh. Goblet mentions things were not supposed to have started yet. A back door to shut them down and stopping them from attacking the bar guests. When he sees Miffany, Goblet turns into something kind of like a weird porcupine beastie and attacks. Miffany takes him down by cutting off the signals in his spine. Unfortunately, he has 7 interwoven spines, and it also takes some brute strength from Shantae's magical metal hands to bring him down. Miffany then faces one of the chanters and tries to use her powers. Again, Miffany is under for a while. I like to point out Shantae gets really bored and just starts messing around and playing on her phone and taking cut, and she's just really irritating at that point, to the point you can't concentrate, and I really enjoyed that.
Yes, same.
Shantae sees fungus dusting her and her nose bleeding, and then she starts convulsing, so she tries to help Miffany, and the chanting gets louder and more frantic.
Sometime later, Miffany comes back to reality to the ringing of her phone. It's Pawn Poppet. She tells him to give her half an hour and everything will be sorted. Miffany mapped out the fungus and, with a little mental push, was able to manipulate it. She touches Shantae, who has passed out and been covered by the fungus, and switches on her metal skin powers to kill off the fungus. I love that she has metal powers. Makes me really happy.
It's just like the X-Men.
So good. Then she does the same to each of the chanters and the pods in the basement where the bar guest operatives are. Eventually, Miffany is able to use her power to force Pawn Goblet back from porcupine to human, and they leave, arresting Pawn Goblet for treason. Soon, Miffany and Shantae are headed back to London for a posh dinner at Apex House to welcome the Croatoan contingent. The dress Ingrid suggests Miffany wear is red, sheer, small, and so thin a slight breeze could whip it right off, and is the polar opposite of everything old Miffany has in her regular wardrobe rotation.
Miffany heads to Apex House with Ingrid and her bodyguard Anthony, and the dress receives the reaction it deserves. Whilst the members of the Sheke court and Croatoan delegate mingle, Gubbins asks about the manifestation event Miffany and Shantae oversaw. Miffany was hoping not to talk about it, what with, Gestalt's involvement, but she ends up loudly accusing her fellow Rook of treason.
Great!
As you can expect, all hell breaks loose as the 4 Gestalt bodies and court retainers attack. The fight is bloody and vicious, leaving Gubbins dead along with more than 25 retainers. As one retainer was attempting to strangle Miffy, she reached into his nervous system and could tell something was not wired correctly. Even Gestalt was strange, not physically in any of his bodies, but almost like his mind went somewhere else at one point. But luckily, Miffy was able to subdue 2 of Gestalt's bodies, Teddy, one of the twins, and Robert, the brother, for questioning. As the remaining court are being doctored, they discuss the situation. The grafters have infiltrated the Sheke.
Yeah.
Shit.
Obviously. On Sunday morning, Miffy, Ingrid, and a near army's worth of personnel head to Gallows Keep, the Sheke's prison for enemies that they can't kill, in the wilds of Scotland. Miffy interrogates the Teddy Gestalt body, who is in the stocks. Gestalt finds Miffy and her threats ridiculous and refuses to give her anything other than threats, curses, and insults about how they worked to get her in place because she hides behind her numbers and is too afraid to act. Miffy, bored now, promises dismemberment while his other body watches, which makes the Teddy body freak out. Oh well, if Gestalt isn't going to give Miffy any information, she digs into him instead. As she holds him in place, Miffy can see through the eyes of Gestalt's bodies. One is looking intently at a computer screen. Another is sleeping on a heated blanket to soothe their muscles. Is that me? I'm pretty sure that's me. Another is staring at Miffy. Another is sitting on a hard bed in a dark room. The last is watching television as a tall woman with blue eyes walks in. Oh, wait a minute. That is too many bodies. I thought there was only 4 of them.
Yeah. In the car, Ingrid asks how things went. Did Miffy learn anything, or did Gestalt reveal he knows about Miffy's memory loss? Hang on a cotton pickin' second!
What?
Miffy freezes Ingrid and asks her to explain. Ingrid was in the office the night old Miffy lost her memory. She found old Miffy curled up and crying on the bathroom floor, babbling about finding out who it was who took her memories and that others are coming, but old Miffy didn't reveal anything more. She played with her own mind to calm herself down and left through a secret stairway in the floor to a car park. On Monday morning, Miffy walked in, and seemingly nothing was the matter. But a personal assistant knows their boss, and Ingrid could tell something about Miffy was different. She was assertive and confident, and then she wore that red dress. Miffy tells Ingrid what happened with some selective edits, leaving out Bronwyn. Ingrid points out that Gestalt wouldn't have been able to put Miffy in place as a Rook by himself. Someone else was helping him from the court. Uh-oh.
More traitors! Hooray!
Yay!
Back in the rookery, Bronwyn calls, asking Miffy if she wants to go clubbing.
Oh no, I've got something for this. You can't see it properly, really, but look, cool sticks.
It's amazing. This only slightly dates the book, by the way.
I mean, to be fair, out of everything, there's 2 things. There's something that hasn't happened yet that dates the book, and the term "let's go clubbing."
Let's go clubbing. Clearly, Miffy has never been clubbing, and she accepts. After a meeting with head of security Clovis, finding out the ridiculous measures the Sheke are having to take to identify and root out grafter infiltrators, Miffy sneaks out through the tunnel Ingrid told her old Miffy used. In it, she finds, the usual bugs and cobwebs and 3 dead retainer bodies all oozy from decomposition, and a few very nice, very expensive cars. Clearly, old Miffy was, since this book is, exceptionally British, TM. She's a bit of a petrol head. The sleek, red, curvy number should do well that night.
Do you know what would do better? A taxi, because you're going clubbing, you're going to have a drink.
Right.
You just get a
Don't
taxi.
drive your own car to the club.
Don't drink and drive. It's
no.
ridiculous. Anywho, Bronwyn makes Miffy change from her business casual coated in tunnel dust into something not as risque as the red dress, but, you know, it comes down close. They head to a club to go clubbing, and it's a sensory overload for Miffy. She heads to the bar for water, parting the dancers with her powers, and runs into sexy, brooding Aldrich. Oh, yes. He smelled her in the city to come and investigate. And yes, he is a vampire if you hadn't worked that out yet.
Oh.
Did you know vampires hatch from eggs? Anywho,
that was so weird.
Oh yes, it was.
That was so weird.
We'll discuss that bit. After a short pleasant exchange, Aldrich leaves with a stunning young man who won't remember the night at all, and Miffy returns to her sister and friends. She has a drink and dances with Bronwyn, and then she finally feels relaxed. A guy approaches her. She can't understand what he's saying, but his smile is full of, literal razors.
Nope.
Naturally.
Nope. Nope. Hate it.
You just can't go clubbing. You just can't go clubbing without,
After stereotypical threats from both sides, Razormouth escorts Miffy outside and into a waiting limo where there is a thing lounging in a slime tank, taking up the majority of the limousine.
Every time, and I think you're going to appreciate this, I don't think of what is actually in that limo. In my head, I replace the image.
Please, I know what it is.
With Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs.
Okay. That's not what I was expecting you to say, but I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
What were you thinking?
Open your mind.
Oh, no, that's far too tiny. I mean, yes, open your mind. But no, it's Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs.
That I'm also fine with that. It was so delicious.
I love that movie.
Oh. Okay. So this thing, Pizza the Hut perhaps, looks like a freshly flayed, mismatched eldritch horror. I
mean, that's Pizza the Hut.
It is. It really is. It explains he is Graf Gerd de Leeuwen of the Grafters, and it wants Graf Ernst von Schutzlin. After a lot of confusion, mostly because of the butchering of the pronunciations, Miffy is able to ascertain that Gerd is an original member of the Grafters, making him centuries old. Well, in part. And Ernst is another head of the Grafters that Gerd assumes the Sheke have. Miffy's ignorance is not faked. Gerd starts ranting and raving, flailing in his tank and tearing what parts of his body are pinned together, sloshing Miffy in tank gunk. Miffy gets out of the car, finds somewhere to clean up, and heads back to the rookery.
Tank gunk.
Tank gunk. Ugh.
At the disgustingly early time of 6:30 a.m., Ingrid wakes Miffy for her anti-grafter medical examinations, and they are thorough. While Miffy is being poked, prodded, scraped, licked, and having all manner of examinations, she asks Ingrid to check her and the other court's diaries for any meetings with the Graf Ernst von Schutzlin. Ingrid isn't able to find anything, possibly because nobody knows how it's spelled, because nobody knows how to say it.
Probably. Graf Gerd de Leeuwen turns out to be highly impatient and calls Miffy only 10 hours after their meeting to demand Graf Ernst when he originally gave her 3 days to find him. After her morning, Miffany is in desperate need of caffeine and is pissed, so she resoundingly puts Gruff Gerd in his place, to the astonishment of Ingrid and her 2 new beefy bodyguards watching. Ingrid points out the call could have been traced, so it's lucky that Gruff Gerd calls back for round 2 of Miffany's verbal barrage. The call ends with Gruff Gerd threatening Redding and saying there may not be much left of John Perry's house. Miffany is confused.
+1.
Same. To add further annoyance to the whole situation, Graf Gerd sends a fax. Is that dating number 2?
That's dating number 2.
The fax reminds them he will show his strength in Reading. A few moments later, an incident alert comes in, and they're all packing off to Reading, including Pawn Allen, who only came to deliver a message. In Reading, they're met by site manager Pawn Cyrus, who tells them John Perry was from Reading and was the Rook who stopped the grafters' last invasion. As they draw closer to the incident site, which is a police station in the city center, Miffany gets an intense headache, but she describes it as being outside her head.
In the operations trailer, 2 pawns, one who can see through walls and the other through flesh, describe the giant cube of absorbed people amassed in the front entrance room of the police station. It's filled with multiple organs, patchwork flesh and bones. It's also a honeycomb design inside, and the pawn seems fascinated and in awe of it. As they are agreeing on their plan of action, a full aggressive strike by a 9-year-old child still in training at the estate, which will probably leave a crater and hopefully not kill the operative child, the flesh cube begins to move and reform, almost using the bones as anchors. The front doors of the police station open and flesh tentacles whip out and grab the operations trailer, drawing it in. Miffany orders an evacuation. A chainsaw-happy pawn, who was also at the bath manifestation, stands atop the trailer, merrily slicing at the flesh tentacles. But, tentacles are going to go all Hydra, and more tentacles pour forth from the open wounds, dragging him, Miffany, and one of her bodyguards inside. Ew.
No. Miffany is drowning in the flesh. She tries to reach out like she did in Bath, but it's a chaotic mire of consciousness and she has to pull back. Thinking about the description of what the flesh cube looked like on the inside, Miffany then tries to freeze and overload the central brain, but again, that doesn't work. Eventually, she starts to run out of air and blacks out. Her subconscious self-preservation kicks in, and 1,000 different orders and impulses project from her panicking mind, tearing into the flesh cube. Around her, the flesh cube begins to dissolve. Her remaining bodyguard covers her naked body with his coat and carefully picks her up. In the hospital, as she's undergoing more tests, scopes, and probes, she learns that her mind created a shield around her, protecting her from the corrosive juices that killed all the others, leaving Miffany with nothing more than bleached hair and a light sunburn. On the way back to the rookery, Miffany receives a phone call about the phone trace. No dice. However, the fax was traceable to a private London resident. As she's stuck in Reading and the only other member of the court who has been tested and cleared of being a grafter is Eckhart, she calls him in to take that operation.
Back at the rookery, and weary to the bone, Miffany tries to rest in her office and kicks at the paperwork piled on her desk, scattering it. Something catches her eye and suddenly she knows exactly who the traitor in the court is. Running out to reception, Miffany asks Ingrid to call an emergency meeting of the court that night. With her 2 bodyguards in tow, Miffany makes her way to Apex House, ready to accuse treason. When she gets there, the court isn't waiting for her, only the person she has come to accuse.
Son of a bitch.
Damn it.
It's Bishop Grantchester.
Yes.
Miffany orders her bodyguards to shoot him, but instead they take a bullet to the head by Grantchester's goons. So Miffany uses her powers to make them shoot each other. It reminds me of the Spider-Man meme, where they're all pointing at each other.
Yes.
Yeah. Miffany turns her powers to Grantchester and can feel all the reservoirs of chemicals and enzymes churning under his skin and the intricate system of pores and apertures which vent them. It's disgusting. Unfortunately for Miffany, Grantchester has more than 2 dead goons. He's brought Norman and Miriam, 2 very special and obedient children from Camp Caius. Norman is a scaly child with a mouth full of fangs who is responsible for old Miffany losing her memory. And Miriam is super fast with a killer uppercut. Along with them is Eliza and Alex, one of the Gestalt twins. Time for the bad guy monologue.
Yes, we love a bad guy monologue. Grantchester has been putting people in place all across the Shekhir for years, including Gestalt and Miffany. Her office and residence, his old office and residence, which is why it's a pimped out pad, is booked, which is how he knew her plans and was able to kill Pawn Allen and Ingrid before any communications could be sent to the rest of the court. You dickhead, how could you kill Pawn Allen and Ingrid? Miffany is a pawn, lowercase p, who was put in place to be an administrator until the time the grafters could harvest her. Miffany's powers are terrifying to the grafters, as she can control living matter, the one power that can truly hurt them, and they want it. On the night old Miffany lost her memory, Scaly Norman came to Miffany's office. However, what he did to her memory didn't stick, and instead of being pliable for shipping off to the lab, old Miffany sat up and, shrieking, and ran for it. All the retainers sent to find and kill her never came back. They're in the tunnel. Squishy.
They're down there.
You need a bucket. When Miffany came to the office on Monday, plans were moved up, but it seemed like Miffany didn't recall anything as she went on as business as usual. Gestalt's 4 bodies weren't told about the plans for Miffany, and speaking of 4 bodies, yeah, there are actually 5.
Yeah.
Eliza, the sister, gave birth, and Grantchester adopted that child, and adding to the ick, the father is one of Gestalt's other bodies. Ew.
No.
Ew.
No.
Ew.
No.
No, we don't like that. Oh, look though. There are the other 2 Gestalt bodies now. Grantchester leaves the room to let the goons finish the job, as any good bad guy does.
Of course. They got
Never
it.
see it through.
Don't worry about it. Sure, it's gonna be fun. Well now, Miffany is not about to let Grantchester get away with wiping old Miffany's memory, killing Ingrid and Pawn Allen, kidnapping and experimenting on children, murder, treason, and all the other shit he's put people through. As Norman puts his hairy tongue down her throat to wipe her memory.
No.
She reaches into her coat pocket, thank you Ingrid for always reminding her to wear one, for her EpiPen. Thank you old Miffany for writing that she keeps one in every coat, and shoots it into Norman, overloading his system and killing him. Miffany then uses Miriam to shoot Eliza dead and shoot Alex in the shoulder. Alex empties his own gun into Miriam. Again, the Spider-Mans. Grantchester watches all this on the monitors and asks Miffany to join him, which is obviously a no, so he threatens her. How very stereotypical. Miffany wants to take a few moments to gather her breath before informing the rest of the court what shit they're in.
in the car back to the rookery with Ingrid and Paul Allen, who are not dead. Yay! Thank you, Paul Allen, and his ability to control metal. They assess how the meeting with the court went. Miffy didn't find it difficult to get the other members to believe her. Eckhart had returned from the mission, having skewered Graf Gerd through with a self-made javelin and obtained photographic evidence for the others to review. Grantchester's wife and the Gestalt baby were also brought into custody. For now, though, Miffy will rest. She survived being poked and prodded by medical staff 3 times today, an eldritch horror flesh cube confronting a traitor, and a long executive meeting, all on 0 coffee and hungover. That's a superpower in and of itself.
It really is. It's impressive.
It really is. All she can think about is sleeping in a nice and securely locked rookery, and with a very big breakfast the following day. Unfortunately, Graf Ernst von Stuttlin is naked and dripping wet in her office. Of course this would happen. Of course.
Graf Ernst is there to broker a deal with the Sheke. He explains to Miffy that he and his cousin Graf Gerd were the original investors with the grafters. After he lost his leg in a riding accident, the idea of being able to regrow his limb was overwhelmingly attractive. Over time, resentment over the grafters' failed invasion turned to forgiveness, and Graf Ernst wanted to start working with Sheke, who had built an invaluable organization, so he started putting key players into the Sheke, set up the mold factory in Bath, and started Camp Caius. To secure the deal, Graf Ernst cut out his own heart, from which he could regrow himself, and mailed it to Miffy, as he didn't think she would take his call.
He didn't even try, that's the thing.
Old Miffy wrote a letter about opening the mail one day only to find a human heart inside and flinging it across the room in shock. But unfortunately for Graf Ernst, that was months ago, not weeks. Miffy brings Graf Ernst up to speed about how his now dead cousin, who seemed to take all the work Graf Ernst was doing and twist it for his own nefarious purposes, and the invasion he was trying to carry out with all the arrangements Graf Ernst had set up, and a few others thrown in for good measure. Graf Ernst is disappointed, but not particularly shocked by his cousin's actions.
A few days later, Miffy gives the OK for a strike against Grantchester, who is sunning himself on some remote beach in Italy. With the nasty business done, she returns to Shantae and Bronwyn, who believes there is a big merger Miffy and Shantae are working on, which isn't entirely wrong. There is still a lot of tidying up in the Sheke, a new Rook, Bishop and Chevalier to appoint, though Lady Farrier has been heavily hinting Miffy should have the Bishop's spot. Miffy also wants to put non-powered people into the court, and more women. Ingrid. Hopefully, with the grafters' help, all the weird stuff in the world will be easier to tend to. Ingrid for next Rook. I will captain that campaign.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I would be okay with that. Yeah.
But that could be book 2, and I've not actually read beyond book 1, so who knows?
Oh, who knows? I think we should take a break for a moment.
Yes.
And then come back and talk about how long this book is.
Let's talk about vampire eggs, shall we?
What? So weird.
The world we knew is gone. Humanity's future rests on Horizon Moon. Chemical Rocketeers is a sci-fi podcast that dares you to embark on the ultimate journey of survival, exploration, and triumph against the odds. In a post-apocalyptic universe, the Rocketeer colony stands as humanity's last hope. They're a resilient group of survivors who are fighting to rebuild civilization after Earth's nuclear devastation. Each mission they take is a test of courage. Every choice, a battle for survival. From heart-pounding action to moments of unity and hope, Chemical Rocketeers invite you to explore an intricate world where mysteries unfold, alliances are forged, and the spark of humanity's legacy burns bright. Join Rocketeer Colony and become a part of the story on Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. For exclusive content and behind-the-scenes glimpses, find them on Instagram and TikTok. The universe is waiting. Are you ready to rise with the Rocketeers? Add Chemical Rocketeers to your podcast playlist right now.
This book, Claire, it was really, really good. But it was so long. I'm pretty sure I texted you and said something along the lines of, I feel like I've been listening to this book for years and I am only 16% of the way through it.
Yeah. I genuinely don't remember it being that long.
It was so long.
But there's so many really easy edits that could take place to tighten the story up. But the stuff I want, there's still stuff I want to read. I just don't need to read them as like the main section. It takes you out of it interrupts the flow of the story.
Yes. I wish that, the big purple binder of information had been like published separately, and all the letters and stuff that old Miffany wrote to new Miffany, like, can we have just like left those out? Some of the stories were good, but like it seemed like every single chapter or halfway through a chapter there was another letter and there was more info dump. Like, just,
well, I mean, for example, and I agree. For example, there was as I was doing the summary, because I wrote this one, when the letters were coming up, I was putting in the summary, letter, dragon egg. And we don't even touch on the dragon eggs, because it's unimportant to the story. Letter, fortune-telling duck. There's two elements that we asked in the social media question.
Yes, and didn't even include them in the summary.
No, didn't include them in the summary, but we will talk about them. Because they were fun, but they were fun asides. They weren't necessary to the narrative.
Yeah.
And even the ones that were, for example, when she goes to Wales to find out Camp Caius, it's like 20 pages long. It could have been shorter. It could have been like 2 pages. It could have
been a paragraph.
It could have been a paragraph. Or the Christmas party when she meets Grantchester's adopted baby and it keeps looking at her funny. And it turns out that baby is the Gestalt baby number 5.
Which is gross.
Body number 5, which is gross. But we didn't need, again, a 20-page paragraph. I mean, if it was a 20-page chapter, sorry.
Right.
It could have been shorter, but it didn't feel short. It doesn't need to be that long. So there was so much backstory and history that was very interesting. Even the vampires hatching from eggs.
Yes.
It didn't add anything to the overall storyline.
No.
It was just interesting asides. So I 100% agree. It's an 18-hour audiobook. It needs about 8 hours of it.
I was about to say, it could easily be 10 or 11 hours and
100%.
Still get the entire story.
100%. I completely agree with you. And just don't get me wrong, just because this was a book that I wanted to read, that I've really enjoyed, and then, it was my choice to put it on the schedule, doesn't mean I don't see its flaws.
Right. And like, it's very good. It really, really is. There's so much weird shit that happens and it's really very funny, but like, let's just cut out a chunk of it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And yeah, I'm glad we agree on that one. I didn't enjoy the audiobook as well.
No, oh gosh, the accents and Gerd in the tank was painful.
Gerd in the tank was painful, and Ernst at the end when he's sitting there naked and wet, because the accents.
So it's not right. It sounds like, and I think I also texted you this. It sounds like someone trying to do a, what did I say? Australian, Southern
American, or something.
British, German.
It was 3 accents that were attempted to put together, but they don't know how to do any of the 3 accents.
And
at the
none
same
of
time.
them were even close to right.
No,
for the character. None were appropriate for the character.
I try to think what the Belgian accent sounds like.
It doesn't sound like that.
And do you know who I automatically think of?
Who?
Hercule Poirot.
Yeah.
He's Belgian.
Yeah.
But he has a very French accent.
Yeah.
Because French is one of the dominant languages in the country. So I would have felt better if French accent
a really
was used.
thick, bad French accent would have been perfect.
Yeah, rather than whatever that was.
Australian, British, Southern.
I mean, it was just butchering. It was butchering Belgian as far as I know. Understand.
It was not good.
Yeah. So, I mean, we get a good stab. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cons aside now.
Cons aside.
So good. It was really very good. One of my favorite things was when they were, clubbing, and she runs into her vampire pal, and, he's hot and sexy in his outfit, but the first time we meet him, he's described as having, like, beautiful auburn hair, and it's, like, long and flowing and voluptuous. And then she sees him at the club, and his hair is, like, platinum blonde. And she's like, did you dye your hair? Did you dye your hair just to come out clubbing to pick up dudes? And he was like, no, I just haven't fed. So I think that's really cool. It
happens as well in one of the letters where he's drinking from a goblet and it's obviously blurred and his hair gets darker.
I love it. That was so cool. I really enjoyed that little bit.
Yeah, it's a different take on the vampire, which obviously we appreciate.
Right. We always love a new vampire spin.
Do we love the new vampire spin of them hatching from giant eggs?
I don't know how I feel about that. That's weird. And also that, like, we don't know where the egg came from.
I mean, imagine laying that. The egg was huge.
It was huge.
The description of the vampire that hatches is Pitt, double T, which is Aldrich's older brother by 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We don't see Aldrich hatching. But then Aldrich, Pitt, and their sire goes on a rip-roaring rampage of revenge against the Sheke, murdering everybody for 2 weeks before this. Let's have a truce.
Yeah.
And part of the truce is Aldrich wants to join because he thinks she's really interesting. So is that all right? And everybody's like, yeah, that's cool, dudes.
Yeah.
Welcome to our ranks, vampire man.
Welcome.
Yeah, I don't. Who lays that egg?
I don't know. And was his sire and his sibling the 400 and however many year old vampire and the 65-year-old vampire that they killed in the Sheke?
Potentially.
Could be. I don't know.
The fact that the 400 odd one was like, taking over wheat profits or something ridiculous like that. I really liked this. The editor from the summary letter about the fortune telling duck.
Yes.
And Wattleman, the lord of the Shekir, has been obsessed over this fortune-telling creature in the British countryside that has been mythical for years, decades, and and it's been his pet project that they find it, and the duck gives only yes and no answers, and they've set
keyboard.
up with a keyboard. And you can only ask 3 questions before the duck will never answer your questions again. So Miffy goes in and asks 3 questions about her memory loss, gets answers. She freaks Gestalt out, saying that it was about, he tested for tonight. So she gets a little revenge there. But then Wattleman brings in the sham psychic.
Yes.
And puts up this fanfare. And everybody's like, he's brought in a guest. Oh my God, is it royalty? Who is it? And they're all really worried. And then they realise it's this sham psychic. And Wattleman and the sham psychic goes in to see the duck. And then they come out and the sham psychic's covered in blood.
Oh, I know.
Because his idea was that you have to read the entrails. And they're like, no, you ask it questions.
You just ask him questions.
You've just murdered a 100-year-old mythical fortune-telling duck. I feel really sorry for Wattleman at that time, but damn dude,
so crushed.
Oh, that was so funny. And it was actually a surprise of mine. I completely forgot about the fortune-telling duck.
I feel so sorry for the duck.
The duck's an innocent party. It's probably just went.
I think if we're skipping ahead to surprises, I was surprised at the inclusion of like fantasy paranormal creatures like vampires and dragons mixed in with this like sci-fi special abilities and flesh cubes and grafters.
Yeah, it mixed well though.
Yeah, it was very well mixed, but you get a really like serious X-Men sort of vibe for a lot of the book, and then like, oh, there's a vampire, oh, there's a dragon egg, and this kid can talk to the dragon on the inside of the dragon egg, and they're gonna be besties.
Oh, they
until they're not. Until that also ends badly.
Oh, the little kid was a prick, though.
He was I was
not
shitty.
upset when his head got munched off by the dragon 5 seconds after he hatched.
Nah, that's fine.
And then this literally sends somebody from outer orbit to land on the dragon to take it out.
Yes, it was amazing.
It was so good. There's just so much X-Men powers shooting about everywhere. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really do enjoy Graf Ernst at the end, turning up, but naked and, soggy.
Drippy, yes.
Drippy. I enjoy the fact he's regrown from a heart.
Uh-huh.
I enjoy the fact that he's a fairly decent guy.
Yeah.
Sounds like, he sounds very reasonable.
Yeah.
But I also felt like it was a bit of a, so you're just gonna,
like, team up?
Team up and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, okay. Cool. I don't know, it just felt a bit, was it a bit flat, or was it just an unexpected ending, or?
I don't know. I mean, maybe Gerd was the, bad one. And
Yeah,
Ernst
definitely.
was the good guy, and he's like, no, actually, it'd kind of be cool if we work together, because we're both powerful. We can do a lot of good things, so maybe let's team up. And you're like, yeah, okay. I guess.
Is the moral of the story then, make the phone call, don't send the heart to your
Don't
post?
cut out your own heart and send it to someone in the mail when you can just make a phone call. Like,
why didn't he even just send an email?
Or a fax.
Yeah. fax machine.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I know that sometimes people have, anxiety about using the phone. But cutting out your heart and mailing it is not the way.
He could have sent a text. Mobile phones have been established in this book.
Yeah.
Okay, we're laughing about clubbing and faxing.
Yeah.
But there are also mentions of mobile phones.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like he's decided to go for the dramatic entrance and not really thought it through properly.
Yeah. But, he needed to get the inside, too, so there you go. Mail your own heart to someone. And then slowly regrow yourself over in a corner where nobody's looking. And, he's not finished.
He's not finished. He's also kind of, tall and stuff, so how big was the refrigerator that they left him in?
Maybe it was a walk-in freezer?
Yeah, like a storeroom style fridge.
Yeah.
Rather than a little lab mini fridge.
It's a mini fridge.
Next to the Yakults. You've got the Yakults. You've got the energy drinks.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got the human heart sent to the Rook in the post.
Yeah. I like to imagine that it is a mini fridge and he's also a contortionist like the other guy.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Gubbins.
I know. I know.
Oh.
I know.
We didn't really overly talk about the powers of the other court members. And Gubbins was a contortionist. He was always fidgeting. He was never still.
Very bendy.
Very bendy. And to the point where it was that's impolite.
Yeah. Can you please stop what you're doing right now? It's weird looking. Nobody wants to look at you right now. Stop it.
You're putting me off my soup.
Yes. And he's standing on his shins bent backwards or something weird. Stop it. Can you just not? Will you just sit like a normal person, please? And he's like, okay.
2 seconds later.
2 seconds later, you look up and his fingers are bent backwards and he's...
Henry!
Stop it! Oh my gosh! And there's one guy who's half mist.
The Grantchester's got the mist thing going on.
Yeah, but there was another guy mentioned, and his lower half was literally like a cloud or something. There's so many weird powers.
I can't remember what Wattleman's was. Because Lady Farrier was to enter dreams and potentially manipulate people.
Yeah.
Eckhart he's a big tough army guy, but he can also manipulate metal as well. That seems to be a very common one.
Yeah.
Gestalt is the fact he's one person in multiple bodies.
Oh, and it's so gross. And he's like, I'm gonna die now. You killed the girl. I'm gonna die.
I can't live forever.
I can't make more babies with myself.
Is it incest or is it masturbation?
It's both.
It's both at the same time.
Incesturbation.
Ew.
Gross.
Stop Somebody
it.
went there.
Stop it. Do not make babies with yourself. They're asexual. No, they're not, because it requires 2 of them still. They don't make... Even though they make their own babies. Stop it. Stop thinking about it.
You're the one thinking about it, and you're the one, making more of a thing about it.
I know, stop it.
Don't drink and drive, and don't make babies with yourself. I think those are 2 big takes from...
Sure, yeah.
Oh, and don't mail your heart.
Don't cut out your own heart and mail it.
Try phone call, text, or email first, or fax.
Yeah.
Send a fax.
Send a fax before you send your heart in the mail.
Yes. Invite them out clubbing on the fax.
Yes.
So what do you think happened to old Miffany And can I also point out that Bronwyn purposely says to Miffany that you say your name wrong, it's supposed to be Myfanwy, and she's like, oh, okay, I've always said my name wrong then.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
I was like, thank you. And the bonus to reading the ebook the first time round, I could ignore the fact that they were like, oh, it's Miffany. No, it's Myfanwy, but
Yeah,
you know, whatevs.
but it's fine.
That's your name, if that's how you want to pronounce it. It feels uncomfortable and wrong.
It's fine.
Feels like you're turning around to the Welsh language and going, but you know, where's.
To be fair, Welsh is hard to pronounce.
Sometimes I can say the big long one.
Yeah, the one. You can say one big long word.
But that's because I don't know Welsh.
I know. I feel like we should try to learn Welsh.
It is fun when you're driving through Wales and you see all the Welsh words. You know.
Wow.
Anywho.
Okay.
Old Myfanwy, new Myfanwy. What? What's your thoughts? Is new Myfanwy old Myfanwy but without memories, or
I think so.
different person?
I don't think it's a new person inserted in her body. I think that they just the hairy tongue lick like actually did work, and it just got rid of everything. I
Defaulted
think.
to factory settings.
Yeah, it was a hard reboot.
That's a stat that I would not like to be rebooted like that. Norman was not nice.
No, Scaly Norman.
Scaly Norman
Gross.
with his fangs and his hairy tongue.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's like, I think they described it as really quite long hairs, almost like.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Bristly.
I think in this world, if we're making it the X-Men, that he's a Morlock. He needs to go back and live in the sewers.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you have a favorite character?
Ingrid, 100% Ingrid.
Yes, 1,000 times yes.
I will also add in a bonus Shantae.
Yes, I did really appreciate Shantae as well, and I loved that she can also. I mean, she's not manipulating metal in like other metal, but she can turn herself to metal. It's amazing. She's like Colossus.
Yes, and the fact she wears part of her is metal bracelets as well.
Yes,
and they were really cool.
Yeah, that was really great. She was very cool.
And I like the fact that she just got on instantly with Miffany.
Yeah.
There was just a good friendship straight away. There was no...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just nice not
sizing
to have
each other up. Nothing like
antagonistic. Just,
No.
we obviously have got very similar personalities and views on life. Let's do lunch.
Let's just be best friends immediately.
Yeah, loved it. So yeah, I'm glad we finally read it, because it feels like one I've talked about 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And now I can possibly stop mentioning it.
Well, now we'll make references to it, though.
Yes. We've got to remember the vampire eggs and the hair changing colour.
Yes, we need to add that
tropes
to our vampire trope pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not the Belgian accent.
No, block that out forever. Shall we move on to favorite final thought quote?
Yes. This is an insanely quotable book.
It really is.
I am going to give you a few short ones and then probably...
I have so many. I have like 12.
Yeah.
Okay, not really 12. Like 7?
I mean, it could border on double figures. I've not counted.
Yeah, I've got so many.
But there is some real life book.
Yeah, okay.
Don't flatter yourself, darling. Your life holds absolutely no appeal for me. Miffy tried to look like enigmatic and probably failed. Same, Miffy, same. Well, I want to have the whole English experience. High tea, supervising manifestations, taking the waters, going to Harrods, discussing possible international conspiracies. It's actually kind of alarming to see a duck in person. They're taller than you think and more immediate. We stared at each other, the duck and I hate to admit it, but I blinked first.
I really enjoy that one, and I just need to tell you that there is a picture book about like a staring contest with a duck, and the duck is so like ridiculously drawn and his eyes are just perfect circles, and every single page of the book is the duck with perfect circle eyes, and it's amazing. It's such a good picture book. I need to send it to you.
You really do. Okay, these two are particularly real life. Clara book.
Okay.
You're bullshitting me. I use the word bullshit far too much. What wanker designed this? I love calling things a wanker.
Yes.
Okay, here's the long one. Unnatural occurrences aren't limited to graveyards, morgues, and funky cult headquarters. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them happen in those sorts of places, but many more turn up entirely mundane situations, which actually makes them far more upsetting. People are more likely to cope with the appearance of an animated corpse in a graveyard than one in an ice cream parlour or changing room of a boutique. They won't be happy with the appearance of the animated corpse in the graveyard, but they tend to be less outraged. And I'm like, yeah, that has a ring of truth.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to stop there before I start plagiarising.
Okay. Yeah. But you didn't really, because the book is 18 hours long. So, I mean, that was just like 3 minutes, maybe.
It's not even a full percent.
No. Okay. One of my favorites is actually interspersed with other bits, like it's a conversation that's happening, but I just pulled out Miffany's bits.
Okay.
Well, I had an appointment, a gynecologist appointment, to have my vagina checked. And it's still there. And okay. Oh, okay. She looks at you as if she knows everything you're thinking and everything you've ever done wrong. Her gaze makes you want to straighten up and pee yourself at the same time. I'm sweating like a goldfish in a wok.
That makes no sense. What are you doing putting a goldfish in a wok?
Why is a goldfish in a wok?
And how does it sweat?
Oh my holy fuck. What kind of job have I gotten myself into?
Book, Amanda.
Oh my holy fuck. You're a very glass half empty person, aren't you? Observed Miffany. That's experience talking, said Shantae. In these situations, the glass is always half empty. Always? Always, confirmed the bishop, right until it fills up with some sort of spectral blood that grows into a demonic entity. And finally, why are the hot ones always gay? She asked. Yeah, said Miffany. Or vampires.
Ooh.
It's fine. I love a gay vampire.
Yes.
So good. Okay, I'm done. That's it. I'm done.
Ooh, is it time?
It's time.
Ready your ninjas, people.
Poof. Ninja.
We asked on social media, would you rather have a fortune-telling duck or a dragon egg? And clearly you have not read the book. Because on Facebook, 71% people said dragon egg. On Instagram, 64% said fortune-telling duck. And on YouTube, 67% said duck. And we have comments. Coral on Facebook and Instagram said dragon egg equals dragon, and we all want a dragon. Hatch, little egg, hatch.
Katrina on Facebook said, I'm kind of scared of geese and ducks, and I'd love a dragon, so obviously I'd choose dragon egg.
Claire on Facebook said, as cool as a fortune-telling duck would be, I have always wanted a dragon, so the promise of a dragon is so much cooler.
J.A. Mont Books on Instagram said, I think I want to find the dragon egg.
And Brie Tart on Instagram said, either the duck would attack me with doomful portents, or the dragon mom would straight up attack me. I will choose the duck, only because that one is easier to escape.
G. Haller, author friend on Instagram, says, the duck!
Headzilla on Thread said, I'd like the duck, please. The dragon egg would be nice and all, but it's a little boring compared to a duck who is, objectively, the best of the bird family. And onto that, the fact that it has a magic power, it just makes it even better. There's always the issue of the fortunes being cryptic and misleading, but that's forgivable from a duck. It can't all be perfect.
And finally, author J.E. Johnson on Instagram says, only if it's a fertilized dragon egg, which is smart. Because you don't just want to... you don't want to eat it.
No.
It's gotta be functioning. It's gotta grow a dragon.
One of those empty ones. I don't know if you ever did this at school when it got to Easter and you had to decorate eggs. You had to bring in... You weren't allowed to bring in a boiled egg. You had to bring in an egg shell. So your poor mother, my mum in other words, had to pierce.
Oh, did you make Fabergé eggs?
Pin, and then you had to blow out the eggs. Why did we have to do that as children? It's ridiculous. I do think it got to a point where we just hard boiled the eggs. But yeah, blow out the egg.
Yeah, that's so fragile.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anywho, I'm picking the fortune-telling duck because I know what happens with the dragon in this one.
Yeah.
And I don't need that, but, I'll have a fortune-telling duck. I'm not bothered for asking its questions. I just want a duck in the family.
Yeah, I will also choose the duck, and, I'll maybe save him from getting his entrails cut out all over the place.
I may call him Pancake, though.
That's a good name for a duck. Mm-hmm. Would you rather be licked on the fingertips?
No.
During a medical exam?
Oh.
Or take medicine extruded from someone's glands to heal a wound?
I think I could probably deal with the medicine excluded from the glands.
Do I have to watch it happen?
That's my only thing. Do I have to watch it, or am I told, porn thingy over there just excluded this, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And can I just put it on my wounds like this? Or do I have to...
they have to, like, does it have to be milked directly onto the wound?
Are we milking a teat?
I think it's a gland, like an underarm, an armpit gland or something.
No.
Or if it's like a Spider-Man, from the wrist, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
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 We're back to the.
We are back.
The me. I don't want people licking my fingertips. I mean, to be fair though, I'm licking them here, and they're not very sensitive.
Yeah. But I don't. It's fine doing it myself, but I don't want someone else licking all my fingertips.
No. At least with the medicine, it feels like it's there to heal the wound. It has a purpose.
Yeah.
For all I know, and I'm not kink shaming you, but you could be getting off and licking my fingertips
you
right
could,
now, and
I'm
not consenting to that.
No. No kink shaming, but yikes.
No kink shaming, but consent is key.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going with the medicine.
Yeah.
The gland medicine.
Gland medicine. Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Same
Okay.
Z's.
Would you rather deal with the bath fungus monster? City of Bath, not, a bathtub.
Bathtub fungus?
Or the Reading flesh cube?
I think I choose the fungus monster. Because it's purple, so it's pretty. And there's, a nice rhythmic chanting going on.
You could turn it into a nightclub.
You could. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do that. I don't know how I feel about a flesh cube.
I mean, I don't like the phrase flesh cube.
I kind of really enjoy the phrase flesh cube, but I don't want to be a part of it.
No. I think the fungus is easier to, you could kill it with fire perhaps, whereas the flesh cube would be like, fire.
Yeah.
I feel it might be tenuously easier to deal with.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather regrow from your cutout heart or in a vat of slime?
You just asked me 2 questions in a row.
Did I?
You did.
I'm confused.
It's okay. We've got a few too many questions, so it's also fine, and we should just keep going and ask each other all of them, and it's fine. I don't know how I feel about this one. I feel like I'd rather make the phone call than cut out my own heart. We've had this in-depth conversation. Now, I don't know how I feel about a vat of slime. It's kind of gross. I think I'd rather regrow from my own cut-out heart.
Yeah, I'm not keen on the idea of the vat of slime. What is that Doctor Who monster? That's basically the skin. It's the last human. I can't remember what it was. Lady Cassandra.
The one that's just the skin stretched out like a trampoline?
Yes.
I'm not a Doctor Who. I only know about this, I think, really from that discussion about Anti-Goddess by Kendara Blake, and we spent a lot of time talking about stretched out skin.
We did. So for me, I know I said that, Grafgerd was inside the limo. He is Pizza the Hutt. But he's Pizza the Hutt meets Lady Cassandra.
Yeah. No.
And I'm not down for that.
No.
So I'm going to go and regrow from a heart.
Okay. Yeah. Would you rather be one person with the ability to control others' nervous systems, or be 4+ people at one time?
I would like to control other people's nervous systems, because being 4+ people at one time is just weird. But, I want to make people take the knee.
I was going to say that it would be nice. You'd probably get a lot of stuff done if you were 4+ people at one time, but you could make other people do a lot of things and get a lot of stuff done if you could control their nervous systems. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do.
I recently saw a reel where the picture with the video, the person was, typing away, and they said, that moment you remember who you're really working for, who you're doing all this work for, and they pick up a picture frame and start stroking it, and then it cuts round and it's the tax office. So for me, being one person in 4 bodies, I want to be paid for each body and not be the one person. Yeah. But I will tell you right now, an employer will say, oh, well, you're just one person in 4 bodies. But they're still going to demand 4 times the productivity of one person.
Yeah.
Not happening. I'll work to the one person and that's it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, well, I can control your nervous system, so snap.
Yeah. Okay. That's great.
I work to live, not live to work.
All 4 of me.
All 4 of me. Plus, you don't want the incesturbation to be a
No, I don't.
topic.
No. No, incesturbation is not what we want to do. Yeah. Okay. That's enough. I feel like that's enough would you rather questions. That's a lot.
It is. Yeah.
If you liked this, try this. What are you going to suggest?
I'm going to suggest. This is actually one comes from the hubby.
Okay.
As he surprising me, he hasn't read The Rook.
Oh.
I
That
know.
seemed just right up his alley.
Oh, it 100% is, and it's on his vast DBR pile.
Right.
He's currently reading a book for the Fictional Hangover book club theme at the moment. So, but we might get to this one. But I was saying what it's about. I said MFI, but wizards. And he went, right, you need to recommend this one because it's bloody brilliant. I went, okay, I will take your recommendation. So this one doesn't come from me, it comes from the Hubster. And it's The Man with the Golden Talk by Simon R. Green. And I have read Simon R. Green, and he's a very, very good fantasy writer where he can mingle that sci-fi and fantasy very, very well.
Okay.
So there's somebody from Goodreads. The name's Bond. Shaman Bond. Actually, that's just his cover. His real name is Eddie Drood. But when your job includes a license to kick supernatural arse on a regular basis, you find your laughs where you can. For centuries, his family has been the secret guardian of humanity, all that stands between all of you and all the really nasty things that go bump in the night. As a Drood field agent, he wore the Golden Talk. He killed monsters and he protected the world. He loved his job, right up until the point where his own family declared him rogue for no reason. Now the only people who can help Eddie prove his innocence are the people he used to consider his enemies.
Oh.
So there's intrigue. It is an adult book. It's not YA, but it is an adult book, but it's very good. Simon R. Green is very, very good. What do you got?
My suggestion comes from Reddit, and there are literally 1 billion comments about the Rook, and a lot of people looking for books similar to the Rook, and there's literally 1 million suggestions.
Nice.
This one that I read a lot of summaries for a lot of books, and this one I think I like it the most. It's called The Regional Office is Under Attack! With an exclamation mark by Manuel Gonzalez. In a world beset by amassing forces of darkness.
Say it right.
In a world beset by amassing forces of darkness, one organization, the Regional Office, and its coterie of superpowered female assassins protects the globe from annihilation. Was that okay?
Perfect, I loved it.
At its helm, the mysterious Oyemi and her oracles seek out new recruits and root out evil plots. Then, a prophecy suggests that someone from inside might bring about its downfall. # tenuous link. And now, the Regional Office is under attack. With a period, not an exclamation mark this time. Recruited by a defector from within, Rose is a young assassin leading the attack, eager to stretch into her powers and prove herself on her first mission. Defending the Regional Office is Sarah, who may or may not have a mechanical arm. Fiercely devoted to the organization that took her in as a young woman in the wake of her mother's sudden disappearance. On the day that the Regional Office is attacked, Rose's and Sarah's stories will overlap, their lives will collide, and the world as they know it just might end.
Dum dum dum. That sounds really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Especially the way I said it.
100%. That, if anything, was the selling point.
Yeah, really.
And not the fact that sounds really cool.
Yeah, no, it was all me.
It was all you.
Yeah.
The author needs to get in touch with you and be like, Amanda,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we have a new indie spotlight?
Yes, we do. We actually just got this one in an email, and it sounds really great. You know, hashtag tenuous link here, I think. Okay. It sounds just kind of bonkers, and I'm here for it. It's called Venice Peach by Jessamine Violet, and this is the second book by Jessamine that we have suggested on the show.
Now, is this peach peeled?
According to the cover, no.
Okay, that's fine. I can deal with that.
The cover art is really cool, by the way.
I'm gonna have a look.
You should look this up. It's like famous artist cool.
Okay, you give the thingy. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. Welcome to the dark carnival of futurism, where art meets lust, and crime meets remote-controlled police bots. One night, a super doom portal is opened through an ill-timed tarot reading at the underground Venice Peach Freak Circus, setting into motion a series of events that wreaks havoc on 7 loosely connected Venice Beach characters' ambitious plans. Venice Peach is a fun, freaky mashup book set in the sexual renaissance of the near-distant future. This is one seriously fast-paced read armed with spells, ghosts, tsunamis, zombies, robotic authorities, and shrunken heads. What a fantastic list of things to be included in a book. Here for it.
When's Head Month?
Oh.
Talking Heads is September. Read a book where there is literal talking head floating around in a jar, in a box, whatever. We need to cover this in September.
Shrunken Heads happening.
I'm putting it on. Thing.
Yes. When is it? September?
September.
That's perfect timing.
Absolutely perfect. Oh my god, it's Kismet.
Okay, I'm very excited. Oh, I've got to email them too because they were super excited about us sharing it. So yeah. And we might be getting Jessamine to come on for an new indie spotlight bonus episode. I'm trying to set that up right now. Literally just got this email from them yesterday.
Right.
So here's hoping.
It's on, and it's even surrounded by a couple of stars, so we know that it's a one that we want.
Yes. All right. How perfect was that? Yes. Love it. Okay. That is it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
I'm Claire.
Join us next time as we discuss Changeless, Parasol Protectorate, Book the Second by Gail Carriger. Look out for our Would You Rather polls and monthly challenges on social media. Don't forget about our book club on Discord. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover themed merchandise. And become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
You can find us at fictionalhangover.com and follow us on all social media at Fictional Hangover. If you like this episode, check out our others and be sure to rate, review and subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks for listening.